Hi, this is Wesley.
And I'm Shane.
And we would like to welcome you to the Underground Geek Shack. No, you're good.
We want to redo that one?
Nah,
Okay.
we're keeping this one in.
Okay. I forgot. I was like, I was supposed to say that too. My bad.
No, you're good, you're good. You're in the new studio?
Yeah, it's a little different. I'm being hit with all the lights and all the. I'm a little, I guess you could say, shell shock with it all. It's very different, very nice.
So hey, you want to know something?
What?
What happens when you tell a manga you can't do this?
I don't know what.
You get changed.
That would make sense. That actually makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, guys. So we're talking about Chainsaw Man. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it or anything. We're talking about Chainsaw Man by Tatsuki Fujimoto. I believe that's the one.
Yes. Fujimoto. Yeah, there's no way. I like that you use the specific term sugarcoating because there's no way to make this PG. This Chainsaw Man is definitely, while placed in a magazine specifically aimed for younger audiences at times, it is definitely not meant for it. And as you pointed out at the beginning, Chainsaw Man was born from Shonen Jump telling Fujimoto, let's not do what you just did. And he went, okay, began to write.
Yeah, because as we know now, Tatsuki Fujimoto has 3 works out there. He has Fire Punch, Chainsaw Man, and a look back into just
It's the hardest one to get through.
You're not wrong. I had to get
so
through
sad. It shows he's a really good writer. He's a great manga artist, but he's a really good writer.
Oh yeah.
And I was expecting his newest thing to come out to be kind of nuts, because Fire Punch and Chainsaw Man are very special.
Yeah. We'll just leave it like that. Special.
It often reminds me, and yeah, you can say in the name too, it has a lot to like DevilMan. Reminds me a lot of DevilMan, which Chainsaw Man, DevilMan, it's very much reminiscent of each other in the plot. And it definitely takes a lot of aspects from the original like DevilMan series. But there's a lot to it.
Well, yeah. We gotta deal with devils, hybrids. There's just a lot.
I think this is the one thing about DevilMan that really was kind of struck me as strange. Fire Punch had it as well. For anyone that has read Fire Punch, there is a lot of characters.
Oh yeah.
A lot of characters. DevilMan, I don't think has as many characters as Fire Punch did. I might be wrong though, because I'm not completely done with Fire Punch, but I know DevilMan has a lot of Chainsaw Man. I made the comparison. Now I'm going to screw up a few times and say it, because I was doing that last night when I was trying to get all the research together. I was like, DevilMan, Chainsaw Man. But there are a lot of characters, and as you and I were looking through, there are a lot of unnamed characters. They're just, it is absolutely, there's a lot of bodies. And I would like to call them characters, but I guess the main thing we really needed to is the first part of DevilMan or Chainsaw Man. There we go. I told you it's gonna happen a lot. It is very violent.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It is like very violent.
When the funny thing is that when Chainsaw Man, when I first heard Chainsaw Man, going through a Shonen Jump out, and I'm like, you know what? I'll give it a shot. I don't know what I'm getting myself into. Usually it takes me a while to get into stories. Chainsaw Man, I was just binging left and right.
Yeah, I found myself at the beginning half. I was kind of hitting every so often, and as it kept going, I was starting to read more. Gonna tell a dirty secret, but in the middle of online classes last semester, kind of was binging DevilMan in the middle of the class, or Chainsaw Man. Oh my god, it's gonna keep going. I kept binging. Yeah, eventually I'll catch myself, but kept binging Chainsaw Man in the middle of it, and then I got to the end while I was in class and just sat there because I didn't have my camera on. Just sat there like, what do I do now? Because it's really good, but it is for, what is it, 89 chapters, I believe?
I believe it's 91 chapters.
91? Oh, there was. I might be off.
I believe.
90. Yeah, I think it's 90.
I believe it's 91.
It has been, again, I preference that it's been a few months. Since
those of you who are watching right now, I am looking up how many chapters there are.
So it's
97 chapters.
97?
97
Oh,
chapters.
wow.
Yeah.
For 97 chapters, it almost feels like you're there for a lifetime.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much that happens, and as I support with the violence, that's why there's so many nameless characters, and why I don't want to call them characters. It almost feels the manga's kind of like a meat grinder. That's one thing. It kind of reminds me, I guess, it would make very thin comparison between Chainsaw Man and like Demon Slayer.
Mm-hmm.
The demons or the devils or whatever you want to call them are kind of difficult to deal with, and a lot of people die.
Oh yeah.
And that's that was kind of what drew me into it when I first read it. Is I think it's like the first division you see Denji like with.
Yeah. Oh, we should also say Denji is our main character.
Yeah.
Before we just start throwing out names and people are like, who are you talking about? Denji's our main character. Yeah. And then we only follow Denji, but then we meet Makima, and then we meet Power.
Yeah.
And then Aki was next. Or was Aki? No. Denji, Makima, Aki, and then Power.
Power, yeah. Power is last.
Yeah.
And that makes up the three that you love the most.
Oh,
I guess you can add Makima for those who have finished it.
Yeah.
But
I stick with the main three.
Yeah, the main three, that's really great. I guess we could sum it up just as it is literally someone joining, what would it be, like Devil Hunters? We call it Devil Hunters. It's a public division, the public safety division.
Yeah.
That hunt devils, which kind of was one of the parts that got me, because even the division was like, yeah, we die really easily.
Yeah.
Humans aren't meant to fight devils.
And I also liked how they were like contemplating, why did we join the Devil Hunters? Like, we could have chose any other way of life, but we decided to choose this. Yeah. And I'm like, that's a good question. Why did you choose this?
Yeah, because I think that's why it's just when someone's like, so what is DevilMan or Chainsaw Man? I did it again. What is Chainsaw Man? It's so hard to tell what it is because it has a lot of layers to it.
Yeah.
And again, I always want to make comparisons or accidental slip-ups of DevilMan because it reminds me a lot of it, and it's such a weird story because you pretty much follow a kid who's on his own doing anything for money. That's the main motivation.
Because at first it was death.
Yeah.
And then
it became more. It's selfish. You can still call him selfish. It's a little strange when looking at Denji and what motivates him. I like it because, you have, I want to be like a leader, or I want to get vengeance, or I want this or that. All these other protagonists have like these long, complicated goals. And then Denji's just, I want a house, I want food, and I'd like a woman.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the whole reason he joined.
Because, like, if you think about it, it's basically like, it's not like with Naruto where it's like, you want to be the Hokage, or, One Piece. I've never actually read One Piece, but trying to, become king of the pirates, or, you have these lofty goals, whereas with Denji, it's just, you just want a simple life.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And you're just like, then when you actually think about it, you're like, huh. You actually just, because then you start thinking, oh snap, I'm taking all of this other stuff for granted.
Yeah.
And then when you just see this kid who's just like, yeah, food on the table, I'm alright with it.
Yeah. Wait, is there food involved? Wait, I get a bed to sleep in? I'll kill him.
Yeah. You're just like, okay, cool. Where are they?
Yeah, because I love. That's why I find Chainsaw Man so unique, and find Fujimoto's style of writing kind of different from the other things you find on Shonen. Not saying that Shonen Jump doesn't have a lot of unique things, because it does.
Yeah.
It's just Fujimoto's able to write strange stories that you somehow feel invested in.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes I have seen a lot of opposition toward Chainsaw Man, and I can kind of understand, as we'll probably get into as we talk about it. There are a lot of strengths, but there is a lot of weaknesses.
Yeah.
But I think that's what keeps me to Chainsaw Man is where, like, he even makes fun of some of the shonen protagonists with, like, Aki. Oh, I'll get revenge, because Aki almost seems like he would be a protagonist.
Yeah, because he wants to get revenge because this certain devil killed his entire family.
Killed a lot of people,
and
his family happened to be among the numbers. And it's like, that seems like your normal protagonist, and then you have Denji, who would normally be kind of a comedic side character, actually take forefront as the main person. And I think that's what I love and hate the most about Denji as a character and as the protagonist of the series. You can't really call him a hero. He's not a hero. No one in the public safety service is a hero. But that's why I kind of like it. Is it's not some great deed. It's just selfish desires. Oh, I want this. I want that. Meets Makima. Want to grope you, which is a very strange thing.
Yeah.
But after reading Fire Punch, like, actually, this is really tame. This is really tame compared to what he's done before, and I think that's why I like it. It's very strange, and you can sum the plot up of Chainsaw Man to a simple world infested with devils who take the names of certain items and fear and it builds off of a system of fear of said item makes that devil stronger.
Yeah. I think that's one thing that I actually liked. Like, when you sit there and you think about why are these devils actually here, and then it's because they fear this.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, so that's why. Like, I guess for instance, we'll take the darkness side. Like, people who fear the dark makes it a lot stronger. And you're just like, at first I was like, well, that can't be right. But then I'm like, but there are a lot of people.
Yep. And I think when it further explores it, the darkness devil also is I forgot who it was, but I've seen a theory that was propelled that the darkness devil was a darkness, but it was also because of his specific attacks. He took arms. It was one of the great fears, or the primal fears of, like, mutilation. And that I love that it went that dark with it, because early mankind and up have always kind of feared the dark, or even losing appendages, and I like that because that's why they're so strong, and I love his entrance. It's so good. But I do like that power system. I think that's why it's very unique. I like that it's based off of the populace fears instead of some weird power scaling.
Oh yeah.
But
so you also got, like, people who are like, who fear blood, which is why you have the blood devil, which is our girl power.
Yeah.
And it's just that, like, one other thing that, like, kind of drew me into Chainsaw Man was basically, like, the kind of, like, I guess the family aspect of it, when you actually see Power, Aki, and Denji just hanging out with each other. It's more like, instead of it just being three random strangers just hanging out with one another, it goes from three random strangers to three friends to basically being like an entire family, pretty much.
Yeah. And that's what I like, because it's very strange. Fujimoto did that in Fire Punch as well, where you have really strange sexual themes, but then you have really calming themes of family.
Yeah.
And normally, if you told me weird sexual themes mixed with family themes, I'd kind of whinge a little at the thought of what am I going to be reading. Like, I'm down to read it. It's going to be weird and it's going to be a ride, but I am going to be uncomfortable.
Oh yeah.
This one doesn't. It kind of cuts it in half, and he spends time with one and then goes to the other. Never kind of. He does technically, but never really tries to mix them. He does kind of with Denji and Power, but the way it works, instead of going on it, you just kind of go, oh, that's kind of sweet. Yeah. But yeah, that's definitely why I like that series, or the series as a whole. It's strange.
Oh yeah.
And it doesn't stop being strange.
I also like the fact that Fujimoto sat there and went and did even more research as to include other languages and other places into the actual world of Chainsaw Man. And I was like, because reading it, we get introduced to this dude named Santa Claus. And I'm like, who are you? speaks German, and then I'm like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
I took German, I know best of this.
I had just gotten out of German, or I had been like a year out of German. I was like, oh, I can kind of tell what you're saying.
Yeah.
And it's not even that there's Russian as
Because
well.
there's Russian, and then there's some...
I know Chinese.
There's some Chinese in there too, yeah. And I was like... Because at first when I saw it, I was like, this is a bunch of gibberish. What is this?
Yeah.
And then I actually had to go and watch a video about it, and then a person who had actually like spoke Russian actually translated it. And then I was like, oh snap, it's actually Russian.
Yep, I like that there's no translation for it
Oh
too.
yeah.
Which I know.
Because I feel like if there was, that would just take the mystery out of it.
Which that one I'm curious on whether they're doing the same thing that the Japanese edition of the manga was doing, or whether that's just kind of the American attempt to make. That part I'm a little curious on, whether the original Japanese actually just doesn't subtitle, which I doubt it would, because usually they don't try to change it, they just try to directly translate it.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the thing. So I do like that, the inclusion of it. I like the inclusion of just the amount of devils, and I forgot what it is. It's not devils. We see it's power and all of the there's a friend they're called fiends. Thank you. I love the difference. Yeah, I love the difference between devil and fiends, and the world building that it kind of sets up. So there's a lot to Chainsaw Man that's strange yet great.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of strength. Again, some of the characters you really like. Some of the characters are just fodder for a meat slaughter. Because again, this manga does not pull punches. Characters are going to die a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
And that was, I think, I'm not saying that a lot of things on Shonen don't have permanent death, but we've gotten so used to Shonen manga where, oh, he's alive again. Kind of like the Black Clover of, oh, this character's dead.
Yep.
He's alive. And it's like, I like that, because I remember a few deaths and it's like, are they dead? And it's like, yes, they're completely dead. And it's like, I'm a little sad by that one, actually.
Yeah. You're just sitting there, you're just like, okay, and it's like, part of you is just like, I don't want to grow too attached to you if something bad happens.
Yeah.
And then something bad happens, and you're just like, because there was the character Cloveni.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to get too attached to you, because I feel like something bad's gonna happen. And then something bad happens, and Cloveni just avoids all of it. And I'm like,
yeah.
What?
I have a feeling she's gonna be important.
Yeah.
Oh man, and that's why I think I enjoy it so much. There are some things which we can kind of, since we're talking about why we like it so much, there are some things I would like to point out that are kind of their weakness.
Okay.
Because I have to admit, there are so many characters without that we never really get to see, and then they die, and it's just like, okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of one of the issues. I love Chainsaw Man, but I have to admit there were so many characters that we, as we said earlier, we looked up the fandom wiki because I wanted to make sure I knew the names. There are so many division investigators that are just nameless. They're like what? One of them was nameless sword hybrid, nameless lance hybrid, and there's just constant, like, people are just dying. It does get a little, I feel like at times you don't really get to emotionally invest in them.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, this is technically, and this might be a spoiler for some people, a part one. This is not like the whole series. There's more to come.
That's not a spoiler at all. This is part one.
Because I think that's why the first part, I think, didn't disappoint me, but I did kind of see parts that I wish were more there. Especially with power at the end.
Oh yeah.
Preferably all of the end of Chainsaw Man have a lot of characterization and actual, like, I know that's the point, someone's gonna be like just yelling at me, like, that's the point. It's like, I get that we're not supposed to feel connected to Denji because he himself isn't a real connected person. But there are times where it's like, they go for personal stuff and it's like, this is great. And then suddenly it just skips it and goes so fast into something else. I think it's one of my biggest complaints, but still, I love the series.
Oh, yeah.
Fujimoto knows how to write the story. A very quick story, I will say.
Oh yeah.
A lot happened in 98 chapters.
I wish it was 98. I know
Or
it's
97.
97, but like, if we had like one more chapter, I would
yeah. I was like 97. Said it out loud. 98. It's like, no, I'm in 97.
Because, like, there's just an entire war. Like, we get introduced to a bomb devil.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, okay, there's nothing in my mind. I was like, there's nothing really interesting about you. And then the fight happens, and I was like, wait a minute. What's going on here?
Oh, man. There's that, the main, quote unquote, main devil that even gets introduced early on, the gun devil.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like how he was handled was also, I love how it ties into Aki without, giving all of the story away.
Yeah.
I love how it ties in there, but I feel so bad. It's built up like this is a big scary demon or devil, and then
because like everyone was like, oh, we want to go and kill the gun devil.
Yeah.
And then you just hear, oh, he's already been defeated. You're just like,
what? Yeah, you're just like, what? Which I understand. The whole point of the first half of what we got, Chainsaw Man, was not to set up the gun devil. It was to set up Makima and everything else connected to like the devil world.
Oh yeah.
Because I have a feeling, especially, and then also to build up the history of the Chainsaw Man. And so that I liked how they did that. There were some confusing parts where it did world building as it went, especially toward the end. And you're just like, oh, okay. But it's really good. I enjoyed it. I'm very excited to see where part 2 goes, because I think it's just going to be as crazy as part 1 was, if not crazier.
Oh yeah.
Because now it takes it from, just loner kid who never went to school to school kid who works for, or who slays devils, pretty much.
Yep.
And I
apparently now has to be like a bigger brother to this little kid now.
Yep, that was also very interesting.
Yeah.
That's like my biggest gripe with it, is it just sometimes the characterization or the world building feels too fast paced. He kind of shows you, and it's like, oh, okay.
You're just like, okay, what now?
Yeah, what now? And I feel like that's just, it was the first part. We were mainly setting up to understand Chainsaw Man, because after the 97 chapters, you're like, okay, I kind of understand what Chainsaw Man is.
Oh, yeah.
I get that. I get what's going on and why it's so important, and why Makima was so obsessed. And then, but it leaves off, and you're just like, I want more. Now it's getting really good.
Well, because me rereading it, I'm only on chapter 2, and because we already know everything that happens from beginning to end.
Yeah.
And then when I got into chapter 2, and then I started to pick up on some things, and it was like when Makima tells Denji, "Hey, go and kill this devil, by yourself." Yeah. And then, because she's still trying to get to know Denji. Yeah. And then she's like, "Oh, I believe you." When Denji's talking about like, "Oh, but Chita gave me his heart," and everything like that. And she's like, "Oh, I believe you. I have a very good sense of smell." And I was like, "Wait a minute."
Yeah.
And then I was like, because then that cued me in on toward the end of it, when she wants to fight Chainsaw Man, and then I'm like, oh, okay. Because then it gives you, yes, I am going to spoil here. If you don't want to just leave, just click off. But like, it kind of hinted at me that, she's like, I have a very good sense of smell. And then leading into the fight with Chainsaw Man, you're just like, how come she isn't asking for Denji? It's because she only
cares. Yeah.
It's basically she only cares for Chainsaw Man, who is Pochita.
Yeah.
And
that one hit me really hard when you think of Pochita, and then you think of the cute little form he took, and then you think of what he actually looked like and what he used to do, and it's like, oh.
Yeah.
And I love that, because it shows this big pretty much devil slayer, just find this small boy, alright, I'll stay with you for a bit. And then ultimately sacrifices himself for Denji and gives him his ability.
Yeah.
And I love that. It's so unassuming, but yet really great.
Yeah.
That's why when I've heard some people thinking about the Makima plotline. That's why I like the Makima plotline. It makes sense there's so much more that I wish we could have had before that whole twist, but I'm not gonna complain. It was so good. It's so sad too.
Oh yeah. But then it's also interesting to see because Makima calls everyone that she interacts with her dog.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, well, why is she calling Denji a dog? Why is she treating power like this? And then you actually figure out that Makima was only being watched by the U.S. government, or by the Japanese government. And then they turned her into this. And so all she wanted was a family.
Yeah.
That's why she sees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the point where I started seeing kind of the Fire Punch influence into it. Is you could definitely tell same writer because it had strange themes. It took really technically awful themes, yet kind of tried to twist them into like a wholesome, like Makima's obsession in controlling nature.
Yeah.
Was due to a lack of having a family or wanting to have a family.
Yeah.
And Fire Punch has kind of the same thing where it's tied into romance and family, which are two things that sound weird in the same sentence.
Yeah.
But that's where I think the strength of Chainsaw Man lies. Finally got it right. I didn't say it. Haven't said it for a little bit now. Where like the strength of the manga lies is just it's so weird. It's kind of good. And I'm very excited. And I don't think we mentioned this before, but it is getting an adaptation.
Yeah. And boy, am I ready for that adaptation.
I am too. I'm a little nervous seeing what happened to the newer ones like Records of Ragnarok and things like that.
And you know that one's getting a season 2.
Of course it is. Which that might be discussion for another yeah. But I am a little worried about it because I guess we can in our last few minutes kind of get into the whole Fujimoto as well connected to his own work. Is Fujimoto, as we said before, and as you can see if you read Chainsaw Man, has a very unique way of writing.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm curious on whether they're just going to fully adapt it, or if there's going to be changes. I hope they fully adapt it. Just commit to the weirdness.
It seemed like from the trailer that we got,
they're
feel like they're gonna adapt it fully.
Yep, and I hope so because it's really great. It's kind of that weird. I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. It's kind of like that weird project. Chainsaw Man is pretty much that weird project that the teacher said don't do, and the kid was like, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Because I think the last few things to add to that is Fujimoto did not like being told no.
True.
As we said in the beginning, and that's what birthed Chainsaw Man is he went, okay, well he didn't like Fire Punch because if I remember, they kind of started pressuring him to end Fire Punch.
Yeah, because Fire Punch. Yeah, because it was in Shonen Jump if I remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, we need it wasn't going on too long. They were not happy with it because it was kind of doing things it shouldn't technically be doing for a manga magazine that is technically to all demographics, but they specifically do try to get younger demographics.
Yeah.
And he was doing stuff in Fire Punch that was kind of pushing boundaries. And when they're like, "Hey, don't," he just looked at Chainsaw Man like, "All right." Began to scribble eye contact. Yeah. So that's why I think I like it. Is just not only it, but the author connected behind it, or the mangaka connected behind it, and his assistants who also have their own manga in the runs right now, which some are really surprising.
Oh yeah.
Some you wouldn't think worked with him. But true. I think, definitely, I'm very interested to see, because Fujimoto, of course, released that the one shot that was really good and shows how he flexes his storytelling, not even just art, because
that one was all set in realism, and I was like, I read that twice, I cried twice.
Yeah, it's really hard to watch, and that's what made me so excited for the second part of Chainsaw Man. Or third part, or whatever's coming, because we don't know how long it's going to be. He said there's another part coming.
Yeah, we just don't know when.
Yeah. And I'm very excited, because that, for a manga that's strange, it really does hit moments where you're like, okay, I like this.
Oh yeah.
And I definitely think if anyone's like kind of on the fence sees it, I definitely give it a try. It's not for everyone, as I've probably preferenced a few times. It is not for everyone. But if you kind of like it,
you're gonna enjoy it.
If you kind of like it, it's gonna be the same thing throughout. So there's nothing that's gonna kind of push you away. What you see is what you get.
Oh yeah.
It's very much the open book manga.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, before we head out, because your boy's burning out, I have one thing that I would like to share. Not only with you, not only with the random ghost that's in the building right now, but with everyone else. We are gonna try and do a giveaway. So, if you guys are wondering, what's the giveaway about, Wes? My boy Sheen, I'm gonna need you to hold this up. It is this shirt that you guys see right now. So if you want to, 1, leave a like, 2, subscribe to the channel, and 3, at least leave a comment of like, you can put your shirt up. Leave a comment as to, have you read Chainsaw Man? What did you think about it? And what other manga recommendations you think we should read? Yeah. But until then, thank you for listening. And we hope you've enjoyed your visit to the Underground Geek Shack. Bye, guys.